Well, look what happened. Look what happened to Philly last night. They lose their they lose their best pass rusher and their run stopper, and I thought that was going to be the difference of the game right there, and it turned out that they were able to hang on. Yeah, right. Yeah. How this is probably talk we should save, but we'll bring it back up again. How pissed off do you think George Pickens in after week one? Well, just the fact that he wasn't really factored into that. I mean, Dak was throwing it to CD Lamb. It seemed like every play wasn't even looking at Pickens. It seemed like, and there was a couple times Pickens almost. First of all, he asked for a flag every play. That just to me that just shows that you're a bad receiver if you're looking for help on every play from the refs. Number one, and number two, he started getting a little chippy out there as well. Taking a little bit of couple shots like after a play or after he ran a route. Like I noticed it because again, that's what he did in Pittsburgh all the time. And that's the thing. Yep. Exactly. Exactly. Mm, yeah. Um, I was surprised on. Oh, good hit, high hit. I was actually. Oh, okay, yeah. 'Cause I just seen that they just threw the flag, which he's outside of the pocket. What do you do? Oh, it's for holding. Never mind. I was gonna say he's outside the pocket. He's a runner, so he's fair game. Yeah, no. What's up, buddy? All right, you guys ready? All right, let's get it. Oh, yeah, I got it on my TV right now. So, all right, here we go. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Sports Dummies. I am 33.4% of your host, and I only put the point 0.1 extra percent in there because I'm the one running the stuff on the scenes here, making us go live. But we also have my other co-hosts here, Mike and Matt, joining us tonight. We're going to talk about a whole slew of things. The NFL is back, number one. We're starting with week one. We started last night. We are getting a game actually tonight while we're going live. So we'll be able to live react to this one. And we also have a very, very packed slate. We got a new top five. We got some college picks we can do tonight. We got a whole slate of of our
Football.
we got fantasy football to talk about. We have our whole slate of NFL to make our picks on. We'll go over some of the picks that we've already done. So without further ado, welcome everybody. Welcome guys. How we doing? How we feeling? Week one is now
Good.
started. We had our first game last night, Dallas and Philly. Matt and I were kind of talking about this on the side here. I'll just kind of lead into that right now as we'll recap it a little bit. I was surprised with Dallas's defense a little bit. You know, they kind of hung in there. It looked like Philly kind of took a step back, which we figured was going to happen. They lost a lot, but the biggest. Let's start this. Okay, we're going to start this segment off with a bang. The dummy of the week, and we haven't even got
No.
to the end of the week, but we got a dummy of the week already. Jalen Carter, dummy for go ahead and spitting on like the first play of the game on Dak Prescott and gets ejected. And quite you could probably argue that kept Dallas in that game because they didn't have that formidable person up front to pressure and stop the run or anything like that. What are your guys' thoughts? Me, I've already crowned him dummy of the week.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I understand emotions are high in that spot. You guys, I'm sure, have seen the clip where Dak, I guess, spit some seeds, maybe in the direction of them, whatever, whatever. It's still, there was no real intent there, I think. But when you physically spit on somebody, there's no reason, there's no excuse for that. I mean, that's about as bottom as a barrel as you can be, my friend. So, it was right for the referees to pick up on that. It was right for them to suspend him or, I guess, kick him out for the game. I think he should lose a game check too. In all honesty, but I guess that's up to the Eagles. But not to be expected.
Well,
this guy has got a history,
you
and I
got to
think that.
understand too that the league is going to fine him 100%. The league's going to fine him. So he's probably going to lose some type of money in this process.
A game check for his salary is a pretty good amount.
Yeah.
So,
You're right.
again,
it'll probably be maybe 50K.
yeah. The action's inexcusable, and again, he apologized after. But if you listen to the interview, I mean, he said the right things, but that's just not who it's just not who he is. His
He may have said the
personality. He
right things.
reacted in that moment,
Right.
and that's. I guess he felt that was okay. So anyway, more importantly, we can talk about the game.
Yeah. What was his body language though?
What we were talking about right before you got on was my takeaways were a couple things, and it was more favorable on the Dallas side. We were banging on, Jerry's hire, for their coach, Schottenheimer. Is going to be ready, and it's an experience, and all this other stuff. They looked prepared in that game yesterday. It was the other side of the ball, like we just talked about, where you had discipline issues and you had penalties, and it was multiple instances. It wasn't just one or two things, and it was in terrible spots. And Dallas did not have that yesterday. Outside of, I felt, maybe poor execution on the receiver side, Ferguson dropping a touchdown. Lamb's stat line was really good, but he had a couple of key drops. Dak played, I think, great. That was another takeaway. I think Dallas overall, I'm not saying they're the better football team because from a roster's perspective, the Eagles are much better. But last night, tough environment. They were both dealing with that bullshit weather delay. Things could have went south pretty quickly, and Dallas held it together, in my opinion. What do you think?
I have a few takes on the game. Number one, same old George Pickens. 4 targets, 3 catches, 30 yards. Stupid face mask penalty, personal foul. Looked like a joke. CeeDee Lamb, you mentioned, big night, 7 for $110, 13 targets, but the 4 drops. I think he's going to have a huge year. Just got to limit those drops. A plus for Dallas also, Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders. Big game for both those guys. Big game. The Carter situation certainly helped that, though. Let's be honest. He's the clog in that defensive line. Have you guys seen A.J. Brown yet? Just curious. Anyone AJ Brown sighting? One target, one catch, 8 yards. Wow.
I mean,
Yeah.
by that standard, he was there. He just wasn't in the game plan.
Yeah.
I mean,
He was guarded.
you can argue the same thing about George Pickens. They go out and they get, they trade for this brand new toy, and he wasn't much of a factor in the game. Now, he caught a couple balls,
He,
but
he opened up the game more for CD, but he was not a factor at all.
so I asked this question. Hold on, Matt or Mike. Sorry, I hate that. I hate to interrupt you in this section, but I just asked Matt this. How long before you think this starts being a problem? This is week 1, and he wasn't factored that much.
3 weeks. It's only 4 targets he had. If he gets that the next 3 weeks, there's a big problem.
How long is this going to be before he starts pouting and throwing a fit?
Like I said, like I started with, same old George Pickens. I don't expect him to change. The guy has all the talent in the world, but he's a knucklehead. Sucks to say.
I agree.
And let's go to the other side, because we started to talk about A.J. Brown. And he also is not super Mr. Character, wide receiver either. Last year he had issues when he wasn't getting targets and not getting the ball. And the episode where he had a book or something on the sideline, all this other stuff. But I will say this, it's week 1. Whatever you say, Philly's offense still runs through Barkley and Hurts, in terms of what they can do on the ground. And they're going to continue to do that for the rest of the year. I think you'll have situations where A.J. Brown's going to be big in spots, big touchdowns, whatever, but it's not a high-volume offense where, those sorts of guys get opportunities like in other offenses.
Here's the thing I was going to say. You're right. Jalen Hurts, extremely efficient. 19 to 23, 152 yards, 62 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. I mean, the guy played almost a perfect game, honestly. I think he threw one bad ball where I saw a Cobbler get a hand on it. That was it the entire game.
Based on matchups, next week A.J. Brown could get 10 targets and have 8 catches for 100 yards. And now they're 2-0. We're not even talking about this.
7 catches on 7 targets. I mean, he was a check down guy at third down. He had 4 or 5 first downs on third down. So, and the last thing I have to say was, and it's pretty funny, pretty ironic, Dallas needs a pass rusher. If they had a pass rusher, maybe they win that game. So talk about ironic,
Yeah. So. Right. Well, I'm telling you guys, I'm going to allude to this, like I said last week. You see it a lot, that teams trade their best players, okay? And it's usually the noisy guys that have to get traded in these situations. And those teams generally, at least for a short term, galvanize, play better, end up with a better product long term, usually ends up being the right decision. And I think Dallas, like I said, they're not a good football team, in my opinion. I think there's a lot of holes. But I think they were prepared. I think they played hard. And I think outside of a few mistakes, like the key one was the Miles Sanders fumble, and obviously the receivers not catching the football, Ferguson dropped a touchdown pass also.
He didn't drop it. He got nailed. It wasn't a drop. He got nailed.
Whatever the case may be, that's 2 touchdowns. This is a different narrative today complete. So I think Cowboys are going to be fine. Philly is who they are. I think they win that game because of the quarterback. I really do. I think because in that also chaos they had, that dude's a beast, man. He's smart. He's the grown up in the room, and he knows how to just not make it about him. It's about the Eagles and about that offense and how it runs as a unit. And that's why they're so effing good, in my opinion.
So here's a question for you. When are people going to start taking Jalen Hurts serious?
They have to now. I'm with you, Chaz. I'm with you. Yesterday
and also just a little prop bet just for future references. I would take Jalen Hurts over on rushing attempts or rushing yards every game.
Oh, definitely, man. Definitely.
Because
he makes smart decisions constantly, honestly.
Right. And everybody keeps looking at him like he's, maybe 16, 15, 17, 18 quarterback in the league. He could be closer to like 12, 11, 10.
Yeah, maybe 10, yeah. And like I said, I thought yesterday this was the best game I've ever seen him play.
Dallas's defense, Barkley was like less than 3.5 yards a carry in that game yesterday.
Right.
So Barkley wasn't a factor. But good, looking at Dallas being, maybe a little better than we thought, and Philly winning under conditions which normally is not favorable to how they like to play. But again, we
So
just talked about that was good of how good Hurts was.
fun stat. With that win last night, Super Bowl winners are 15-5 in season openers in the last 20 years.
Wow, interesting. I did think we saw a little hole in Philly's defense, though. So they went and signed the Darius Smith today
I
for
was
a
just going
pass
to say
rusher.
they signed him today. Now,
I think we're going to need a corner.
so that almost seems like like a direct in a direct relation to Jalen Carter getting ejected, and then they
Yeah,
go out
totally.
and they get this. They go out and they get Zadarius Smith. Now again, the rich keep getting richer apparently because he goes to Philly and anybody in the world could have used him at this point.
Absolutely. Yeah, pass
Part of
rushers.
the reason why Eagles defense has been so good, especially last year, jumping back to being number one overall, they led the league in four-man fronts. So they were getting pressure with just four guys, which allows the rest of the team to do what they do. It
Right.
comes down to numbers. So obviously, Jalen Carter, that's a big loss. But again, moving forward, this game to me right now, not surprising. I think the Chargers are going to bring it every single week. They're good on both sides of the ball. They can rush the passer. I mean, obviously, they got a rookie running back. We'll see if they can develop a consistent running game. Good coach, good quarterback, good defense. I mean, I don't know. The Chiefs, this could be the year. Not to give you a little bit of a heads up, but we do our top five. That's one of my previews this year for who I think is going to make the biggest drop. So, and we'll get to that. So, whenever you guys want to introduce that top five, it's on you.
I think now's a good time to introduce our top five. So, Mike, why don't you start the top five this week or this time?
Was it biggest drop or biggest gain?
Either one. You can do either one. It's your top
Okay,
five, whether biggest or worst.
Well, I'm going to pick a team I think is going to improve by 5 games. I think we talked about the 5 game plateau. Jacksonville Jaguars. I am on the Jaguars this year. I think Trevor Lawrence has nowhere to go but up. If he doesn't, he's gone. It's funny I'm saying that because I don't think that the number one pick is going to be that crazy of an addition on offense as everyone thinks he is. I think he's a better cornerback coming into the league right now than a wide receiver. Travis, I'm losing his name.
Hunter.
Thank you, guys. But I like what the Jaguars have done offensive line, defensive line. They've gotten better. Defensively, they would be better, and it's a winnable division. So
Talk about the coach. Talk about the coach. That's the most important piece right now, because we're seeing across the landscape. You saw what he did last year, and again, coach quarterback. It's an important relationship to get right.
Oh, he missed a wide open touchdown right there, fellas.
Okay, well, I'm going to get to my number five. Number one doesn't really matter. This is also a team that I think is going to regress greatly. I want to get it out of the way because we're watching them. Last year, Kansas City had 15 wins. That is not happening this year. I've got them down 5 wins this year. I've got them only at 10 wins. So I've got them at a -5 overall. It's got to come to an end at some point. I think that we're seeing now, especially losing one of their best players on one of the second plays, in the game. Offensively, I think they're going to have an issue. The offensive line is young. They really have never, through all this, established a consistent run game, and it puts a lot of pressures on the other positions where we're seeing they have deficiencies consistently now for a few years. I think it's going to catch up, and I think the teams around them, like we're seeing the Chargers, are getting better. So, from that perspective, 15 wins, it's a lot. I think there's a little bit of a hangover too. Now, obviously, being champions. For me, they're at -5 from 15 to 10 wins.
This was Detroit, you said?
KC.
No, KC.
Oh, okay, even better. Then my number 5 is the Detroit Lions. I don't think they have the success that they had last year. Last year they went 15-2. I think we're looking at about a differential of 3 games. I think we're going about 12-5 this year. The division has gotten a little bit harder with what we think Chicago is going to have a decent or better team than last year. But I think that they just don't seem to find the success that they had last year. I mean, let's face it, last year was almost historic. and what they did. So I just don't see lightning striking twice with this team because, as we say all the time, the Lions are just the Lions.
It's funny you mentioned him, Chaz. I had him at 11 myself. So
Okay, so we're not that far off. I gave him the benefit
no,
of the doubt with a little bit more, but
yeah,
yeah, I think we both kind of see the same board here.
yeah.
Okay, so I think. Well, first let's start off with a little bit of good news for the Steelers. Jalen Warren gets an extension up to $17.5 million. I think it's deserved. Um, Obviously, there's some other guys that we need to pay, Chris Boswell being one of them. But it's also nice that we're going to take some of our core guys in Jalen Warren and give them the rightful raise that they need.
Yeah, I
I'm
agree.
curious to see how we're going to use both backs. I mean, I don't believe it's a 50-50 split at this point. It may develop into that, based on obviously how the offense develops. But I kind of feel like it's going to be more a 70-30 run at the onset, 70%, obviously Warren. So, yeah, well deserved, I think. And I'm curious to see how he can handle that sort of workload under this sort of offense.
Yeah, I think it's going to be like 60-40 to start. I think by, I don't know. We'll see how the season plays out. But I think by week 7 or 8, it's going to be 50-50. But I think I don't know. Warren's definitely your third down back with his pass blocking for sure. So we'll see how Johnson adapts that zone blocking scheme and everything like that. So we'll see.
Whatever the props on Warren's catches are, you better take the over on that because Aaron's going to have just
Check down, check down, check down, check down.
oh my gosh. So I'm guessing that number is going to sit probably around 2.5. I mean, that would seem to be about right. Probably juicing the over big time, but whatever it is, who cares? Because he's getting at least 4 catches. So
Yeah, I mean, essentially these guys. I mean, you got. I don't know, I got Amari and Hampton stuck in my head right now because I'm watching them. But you got Caleb Johnson, who is about 10 pounds heavier than Jalen Warren, a little bit taller. Warren is 5'8", Johnson is 6'1". So you almost want to think that they're going to try to do like the Thunder Lightning in this scenario, but by only
You
being
know,
10 pounds, I don't know. Maybe it's just because it's third down. He's going to have the fresh, quick legs and Johnson. So you got the speedster and Jalen, who's going to try to tire him out on first and second, and then they're not going to get a break because they're going to get that another fast, fresh guy on third down. Um, or who knows? Maybe we may sit here and think that Jalen Warren is going to start, but let's call a spade a spade. Jalen Warren really made his presence known, and why he got paid was because he was a good third down back. So
yeah,
maybe he stays that way.
yep. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think as the season progresses, we'll see. I think they drafted Johnson where they did in the third round to be the guy. So
Right. Right. I mean, they knew
yeah,
that they were moving on from Najee Harris. They knew that.
right.
So maybe that's why they went out and got Caleb Johnson, because they wanted who is essentially kind of the same build and weight
Yeah,
and height.
yes.
So
You look just like him. I mean, yeah.
yeah,
If he put 22 on and had Harris on the back, we wouldn't know. I swear, except for dreads. I swear to God.
right, right. All right, so I got two guys that I need to talk about, or I think we should talk about. And this kind of goes into fantasy aspects, and we can roll this right into fantasy. Um, let's talk about Micah Parsons real quick, because the other one that we need to talk about is probably even more alarming.
I know
Parsons,
you're coming with.
yeah, yeah. Parsons getting a shot before the game more than likely, and we're having some tightness in his back, L4, L5 to be exact, in his back here. Um, is this? Are we thinking this is why Dallas maybe have said, "Hey, you can have him. We don't we don't want to deal with this problem."
Listen, I'm reading between the lines here. if you saw Parsons' comments, he's not sure when he's getting on the field. He hopes it's sooner rather than later. But for a linebacker, just like Stafford getting his shot right before the season, that's not good news. So,
Well,
Matt, you've had back problems.
yeah,
You
he
know.
already got one shot. He got one shot in
Right.
Dallas before he got traded.
Right.
Back problems, you don't get better from back problems. You manage it, but you don't get better from it. Not in a period of time, especially if you're an NFL linebacker. You said
Well-
so. Mike, you alluded to maybe some collusion there. Maybe Dallas knew, and they were just moving. That's a big reach. And that were able to hold down. They knew he was hurt, or if Parsons knew he was hurt, and maybe he kept it from the Cowboys. I don't know. But if that information was being withheld on either party, that's a problem.
On top of that, though, you would think the Packers would have done their due diligence in having him in for a physical and everything before. You know what I mean? Say, you're okay for us. We're going to pay you this kind of money. But it looks like it's a lot more serious than we thought, than we knew, but maybe the teams knew. So I don't know.
I think it's more just circumstance. He's hurt. It's going to be, more than what they thought. The Packers have to absorb that and look long term. They're a playoff team. I think at least most of us think they could be without him. So, get him healthy, figure out what the problems are, and move forward.
Yeah.
Figure it out. This is the
What's your
NFL.
on that, Chaz?
What's that?
You'd rather be hurt in
What's your take
September
on that?
than be hurt in
Well,
January.
Here's the. We still talking about Parsons, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's a little tidbit. Here's a little tidbit that I had heard that I thought was very interesting. At the last second or towards the end of this trade, Dallas had the opportunity to deny it, to not let this go through, to stop the trade from happening, and they didn't. They let it go through. So
That's interesting.
Again, what are we reading in between the lines? And we had talked about his mouth when he gets off of a bad game and he goes on his podcast and he runs the gums, he flaps the yapper. And again, that's a distraction, but Jerry Jones is used to distractions. He's had a team full of distractions almost his entire career. But this back thing, and then they had the opportunity to stop it and they didn't, and now he's dealing with an issue. It's just like I don't know. I'm kind of baffled by it. And I think we called this 3 weeks ago and we said we weren't sure what Trey was going to do, because he had already come back, and he said he wasn't coming back, and then he came back. Who was I don't know. Terry McLaurin we knew was going to stay. Well, I knew it. I said he was going to stay, and I said Mike is done. There's no more Cowboy for him. He's done. He's gone. We called that 3 weeks ago. We have it on tape. Run it back. But there's got to be something else that's into this that we're not seeing. Good catch. But there's something else into this whole scenario that they're not letting out, and somebody's keeping it under wraps. I don't know who it is. I don't know which side it is, but somebody is, because both sides know what's actually going on. All three sides knows what's actually going on.
And on top of that, Green Bay was happy, and so was Dallas with the trade. So that's all we go with, and that's it.
Yeah.
Now let's get on to the next bit.
You don't have the pressures, at least media-wise, press-wise, everything else-wise, in Green Bay that you're going to get as you would in Dallas in terms of, even coverage from, I don't want to say the NFL, but just, who's looking at Green Bay? So it's a little easier to hide for a few weeks, get healthy, get your body right, let this all play out, let the NFL narratives kind of build in, and then still I'm assuming, they're going to be a good football team regardless. When he's ready to play, the Packers are going to welcome him back, and he's going to be effective. He's going to be a difference maker when he's on the field.
Well,
so he's still ahead.
I don't think there's any doubt about that. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
They paid for one of the better defensive players in football, who's a head case. There are other head cases in the league that play football too. That's probably one of the best places to manage it would be Green Bay. So, and they got a great coach and a good culture, and, they got a great coach. And, I think what's if he's a little bit out there as the sore thumb once in a while, if they're winning games, then so be it. They'll figure it out.
Yeah, I think they will. I think that there was a little bit too much liberty that were allowed in Dallas. Um, I think I'm hoping that Green Bay's a little bit different. Now, granted, too, there's not much to do in Green Bay from what I've heard. So he
The
might
thing
be
is,
he might be
wasn't
yapping a lot
meshing.
more.
You had two monster egos on that team, and it didn't work. Now, if you have one ego and you're the guy screaming in the corner and nobody's listening to you, eventually you shut the hell up. Nobody cares. And that's what it's going to be as long as they're winning games. So that's my opinion.
So let's move on from this. I think we've kind of beaten this one up. Let's talk about probably the more concerning one out of everything. And Mike, you know which one I'm talking about. I think everybody at this point knows which one I'm talking about. We're going over to the 49ers in San Francisco and we're talking about CMC, Christian McCaffrey. What in the world is going on? And
So
not to mention they waited. What's even more ironic, and I think for me as a fantasy player, I'd pissed off because now, granted, I didn't draft him, and for this reason why I didn't draft him because I don't trust him. But they waited until the majority of fantasy drafts, 99.9% of fantasy drafts were over, just like they did last year, before they announced that, hey, his calf still isn't good. So, what do we think about this? I think this is ridiculous.
Vegas, Vegas, Vegas. I
Yeah,
don't know where the money came in on McCaffrey. I can tell you that I would think, just like in the fantasy world, most players that you talk to were concerned. We're nervous about reaching for that guy. So I wonder if, when it all comes down to it, when they said, 90% of the money came in under McCaffrey, oh boy, guess what? If he never plays, none of these bets come to fruition. So I'm not saying he's going to miss the year. I'm just saying put on your tinfoil hat, because
no,
there are definitely scenarios here that could play out in a lot of different ways. But
yeah, I don't think.
again,
I think he plays. I just think it's ridiculous on what's going on with his calf. Like, he's had a whole year to get this calf thing in order. There's got to be something more. Did he tear it? Is that what's going on? And nobody has said anything? Like,
all I heard all camp was how good he looked.
right.
Every article, every person, even the beat writers, the San Francisco, I was listening on the way into work one night on, the Fantasy Network and stuff, and they have a lot of guys on there. They had one of the reporters that follows the team. He's their team guy. McCaffrey looks as good as he's seen him. Okay, now what are we doing? A week and a half later? So, you know what? It's shady. I don't know. I don't trust it, but I don't care, because we preached it. I preached it. 0 shares of Christian McCaffrey this year anywhere. And we'll continue to have that for the rest of Christian McCaffrey's career. He will never be on one of my fantasy. That's not nothing against. He had an amazing run. Dude was unbelievable. He was league winners, but he's not that guy anymore. So let somebody else suffer now, and they're going to, in my opinion.
I'm
I
just,
agree.
I'm just going to say 2 words, which I've been saying. I'm not shocked.
Okay.
I kind of expected it, because you don't take 8-9 games off in the whole off season and come back with 2 calf. Both legs, by the way, had calf issues.
Right.
So, and all of a sudden, the Thursday before the season, you come up on injury reserve, questionable calf. There's something not good here. The Niners, they knew something was wrong when they traded for Brian Robinson Jr., fellas. That wasn't a big. That should. The writing was on the wall right there. When I saw that, I'm like, wow.
I need more shares of Brian Robinson Jr. And I knew that going in this year, and I don't think I got him anywhere. And that's my mistake, because I was high on him anyway. The kid, when he got opportunities, he was good. He was a strong running back. So, not to say he's going to have great success in San Fran, but he's definitely going to have opportunity. So I guess we'll see how that plays out.
I got him and Javonte Williams on a couple of teams, so I'm happy about that. So we'll see how that works out. As backups, by the way, not starters. So, yeah.
fantasy related, just a quick tidbit on that. What I'm looking for out of this first week, outside of the guys like A.J. Brown, that's an anomaly, one target, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But for the players that we drafted that we had questions about, that we weren't sure what their roles are going to be, that's the most important thing for me. It's not so much their performance or their stat lines, but how they were involved in the offense and when they were involved. And use Ferguson from last night's game as an example. You look at his stat line, and again, knowing he dropped a few passes, it was where he dropped the passes. He had 2 red zone targets. So overall, his stat line wasn't that impressive. I know I have him in 2 leagues. I know that he's going to be a focal point in that offense moving forward. And that's important for me as a fantasy player. Knowing that opportunity leads to production. That's what we're all looking for. So, you look at 8 points and he was projected for 11 or whatever it was. And you're like, oh, God, he sucks. He's no good. Or, he whatever. Not the case.
Right. So,
yeah. So just look at opportunities. Look at, stuff that play out like target share, route share, those sorts of metrics that will develop, as the season goes on after the first few weeks. That'll give you a story as to really what's going on.
So I have a couple more fantasy tidbits here that I think that. What's that?
You want to bust the countdown?
Well, I'm just going to go over these real quick. These are just some actives, inactives, real quick, and then we'll jump. Yeah, we'll jump right back into the top 5. So Tyler Bass is on the IR. They signed Matt Prater. He's going to start for Buffalo this weekend. Cornerback Matthews for the Panthers. He's out for the season, tore his ACL. Bad news there. So might want to look out for that. Whatever receiver was supposed to be guarded by him might want to look that up and take that wide receiver. Also, the cornerback Gonzalez from the Patriots. He's also out Sunday. We already talked about Zadarius Smith being signed. What was that?
Christian Kirk's out this week for the Texans.
I was actually going to get to him. 1 to 2 weeks with a hamstring pull.
Yeah, hammy.
So
yeah, not good.
No, that's something to definitely pay attention to going forward.
Yeah.
So we're going to jump into the top 5 again real quick here, but there's still
2 others real quick. Chaz, want to add to that? 2 others.
Go ahead.
Isaiah Likely, it could be multiple weeks, maybe more.
Okay.
For the Ravens, which is interesting because he was supposed to be a pretty focal point of their offense.
Okay.
And then there's a big one here. Jalen Johnson from Chicago, one of the best corners in the league. Limited this whole week, going against a good Minnesota team. So that's going to be interesting for them. So.
All right. So
Carolina, they already had the worst defense in the league last year. And then when you draw a fantasy parallel, give me some Trevor Lawrence this week in DFS because he is cheap and they are hungry and everybody's up Trevor Lawrence's ass. If this week that man don't throw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns, it ain't going to happen. So,
I agree there.
This is the week where Jacksonville just, I think, blows them up. I just hope Carolina keeps it competitive so that Jacksonville needs to stay on the gas. But I guess we'll see how that plays out.
All right, so let's drop into our top 5 again and start out with number 4. Matt, go ahead and start this one off.
I have a team on this list that we were all talking about, and I'm not going to mention it because I feel like that you guys are going to bring it up eventually because I think we're all on the same page. But there was a 6 team. These are all numbers, either minus wins, plus wins. So for me, I got all these teams sitting at 4 games, wins or losses. So I gave you KC as a 5-loss deficit. I got the Giants, who won 3 games last year, winning 7 games in that division this year. I think the Giants roster is much improved. I think that they were kind of almost somewhat decent last year in spots, but I think their draft is good this year. I like what they're doing coach-wise. I know he got banged on whatever. I just like the Giants this year. I don't know. I just think they're a team. I think Washington maybe slides a bit. We saw Dallas struggle a little bit yesterday, even though I kind of think they're a little better than most people think. I got the Giants improving by 4 games from a 3-win team to a 7-win team this year. Sorry.
Well, Mike
Funny
just
say that I have the same exact thing, 7 and 10, the Giants on my list. Yeah.
Yeah,
Funny.
it's also funny because Mike just went 6 to midnight considering he took Malik Neighbors in every draft imaginable.
Oh, I loved him too,
I did.
and I don't think I have him anymore. I got him.
I know you did.
You're exactly right. Yeah. In three of them I did. Yeah, neighbors. That's it.
Hey, Mike, real quick, if you look at the halftime show, this lady's got pineapples.
Oh boy, hold on. Now you're distracting me. I was watching my JMU bet.
Oh, okay.
I'm just gonna throw it out there. Not that you guys probably will, but the team that is 5, because KC had 5, was, I'm sure one of you guys is going to talk about the Patriots, right?
Yeah.
Big time.
Right. So that was the team that I think is also going to improve the most. So
my number 4 team is the Minnesota Vikings. Again, a historic run last year with a quarterback that never should have played. For whatever reason, they must have treated him like a rookie and dumbed down the offense for him to, play football for them. So last year they went 14-3. I mean, whatever I can do to shit on Sam Darnold, I'm going to do it. Last year,
if this football pool, whoever wins this, if you lose, I'm buying you a Sam Darnold jersey. You're going to have to wear it.
Hey, that's great. After I fulfill my obligation of wearing it on the show, I'll use it to start my next campfire. So that'd be great. Last year, Minnesota went 14-3. They're going to take a hit this year. Not because I'm not confident in JJ McCarthy. It's hard again to have that success back to back in that division. So I'm going to say that they're going to go 12-5 this year.
I have them at 10-7. So
okay,
we're on the same page.
A little bit off on how much they win and lose, but we still have the same team taking a hit.
Yeah. So I'm gonna jump in with a team that you guys were just talking about, Seattle. I've been improving 3 more wins to get from 5-12 to 8-9. I think
not with Sam Darnold.
Well, we'll see. Jackson Jacob Smith, Cooper Kupp, Tyler Lockett, for all intents and intentions, he was washed. I mean, not that Cooper Kupp isn't, but a healthy Cooper Kupp, if he stays healthy, helps that team. Well, helps with the Kenneth Walker again. He was hurt last year too. So they're going with a defensive-minded coach there. That division is very winnable enough. They're going to be competitive this year. I just think coaching is going to help them out a lot. So I have them going from 5-12 to 9.
Cool.
All right. So we'll jump out of the top 5 here, and we'll talk about another guy that we don't know about. We're going to stay in that division. We're going to talk about the LA Rams. Matt Stafford says he's going week 1. They're going to do whatever I guess they can, tore it all his back up or whatever to get him in there. I'm not confident that Matthew Stafford's going to finish this season. And which is a shame, because if he doesn't finish this season healthy, he's going to be forced to retire. So this could very well be the last year we see Matthew Stafford in any type of uniform. And, it's a shame too, because any player that has to retire not by their own accord is just, it's sad to see, because you want to see guys go out on their own accord instead of having something like this tell them that they have to go.
The beauty of this that nobody's talking about is that, granted, we know that this may be his last run, and if, in all intents and purposes, it probably is. And let's assume that is. You got to think that every week they're going to just basically, whatever they have to do, get him ready for those 3 hours on the field. So every week he's going to be listed as questionable. Every week he's not going to practice. Every week you're going to see the same narrative for the first few weeks especially, and then at least on the other side, teams are going to be like, well, how is he even playing? Is he going to be able to play? I think it's a huge offensive advantage for the Rams. Now, assume, like I said, this is all in for him at this point. All the chips are being pushed to the center. and he runs the table. Let's say he goes 6 or 7 weeks, and maybe he misses week 5, part of the game, whatever. He gets knocked out, gets a concussion, misses a few weeks, gives him a chance to get his back right again. Those are right scenarios that could be real. And then he gets right. The Rams are one team for me that could either be a 12-win team this year or a 4-win team this year. It just depends on his health. But I think either narrative is possible. And I think if he can manage to play somehow most of the games in any sort of fashion, I think it's a huge advantage for the Rams offensively.
Yeah, guys, I can't agree more. I think this is the biggest question mark we have right now in the league, where they're going to be. Because, like you said, they're a 12-win team, maybe 11-win team to a 4. No Matthew Stafford. They made the Devontae Adams addition. What a great addition to that team. Replacing Cooper Kupp, who was just hurt all year. So now you have 2 unbelievable, really solid all-pro type wide receivers. A good running back in Kyron Williams. The defense is young and feisty. Boy, if you have a Matthew Stafford injured, boy, man, that's going to hurt that team bad. He's a 500 quarterback. You know what I mean? If that. I mean, he never impressed me when he played. So I just think that it's sink or swim for the Rams. I don't see any. So
if Stafford's healthy, they're a Super Bowl team. Level.
They're definitely a contender. Yes.
Yeah. Because they're good at everything, like you said, up front, defensively, offensively. They're just good. All metrics are, and they got the best, in my opinion, the best coach in football. So, at least offensively, the smartest coach in football.
Yeah.
But yeah, interesting. So you guys had your drafts. I know it's only been a couple of games played. You guys still feel pretty good about where you're at? Do you think there's going to be any wholesale changes? Do you think you see any players at least? I mean, now we're getting some news about Parsons, some other players. Do you think there's going to be any week 1 surprises? You'd be like, oh shit, I should have taken him.
The one that jumps out at me, you guys are probably going to say I'm crazy. I'm not a big RJ Harvey guy. I still believe J.K. Dobbins is going to be the horse there in Denver. Goal lines, I think Harvey will work his way in eventually. I just think Dobbins is going to lead that team. Harvey's going to be your third down back, I think. But that's the one guy that a lot of people jumped on these rookies like crazy early. Amarian Hampton, R.J. Harvey, Caleb Johnson, Genty, Scatterboo. Listen, don't knock Tracy. The guy played good for the Giants. You know what I mean? And now, in my draft personally, the one guy I think early was James Cook. I think I got him in the 6th round, which it wasn't a reach, but at that time, if he does what he did last year, that's an unbelievable pick. But 16 touchdowns, I think he didn't touch that again this year. So, So that's just me.
They're in the locker room.
So, what do you got, Matt? Anyone or Chaz? Anyone jump off the board for you guys?
I mean, I'm on Harvey this year. All my backfields are Harvey and Hampton. But again, I went for players in situations where their offenses were good, coaching was good. They're going to be factored later in the season, to some level. Yeah, it's more of an upside play, I get, because I know Dobbins is still there, like you said. But I don't think there are many teams that have clear-cut number 1 running backs where, that guy is going to get the ball 75% of the time. There's maybe 3 or 4 guys in the league. So, again, all the rest of them are kind of all grouped together based on, opportunity and, environment. So I'm a Harvey guy. It may not be early in the season, but I do think that he will carve out and be a factor. So I'm on Harvey a little bit. And, again, we talked about it, too. They drafted him early enough to signify that they want to use him in some kind of way. And we know what he did in college. So, he's versatile. It's not like he is, a specialty player. So I think he can handle the load. I just think that maybe in Peyton's offense, if it ends up being a 50-50 share, I mean, there's enough. Harvey could be a factor in that play. So we'll see. It may not be much of a difference between how the rest of the teams, use their backfields and how it relates to scoring. In terms of Harvey may end up being RB 15 when it all shakes out at the end of the year, and he was never more than a 50-50 timeshare. But that's what the landscape of the league is right now. If you're not Derrick Henry and Taylor and just a few other guys. So anyway, that's that. So Harvey for me.
So who the guy that's in New England? He's a rookie, correct?
Henderson, yeah.
Henderson. Yeah. So I think he's probably going to have probably one of the bigger impacts because they were unsure of that backfield last year, even though Stevenson,
Right.
I think Stevenson took the bulk of the carries, but
Yeah.
they seemed like they were still back and forth on that decision as well throughout the course of his career. So I would probably think that if we're looking at rookies or even more so rookie running backs, I would probably look at Henderson to be probably that breakout star this year for that category, if you will. I mean, everybody seems to be very high on this kid, not only to play well, but to start and take over that job. So that would be my player to watch.
And again, they paid him as well last year. I think it was, again, not a lot of money, but enough for a role. And again, where two running backs are key in a lot of these offenses. And Stevenson runs hard. His metrics are where he's a positive yards after contact type player. So there's value with him as well. But I do like him, and he was popular. He was moving up on the expert drafts. Henderson, he was in some drafts like a third or fourth round selection. So he figures to be pretty much a prominent player this year.
Yeah. So we're going to transition real quick because it's only going to be, like I said, real quick. And we're going to go with some NHL news. About that, huh? NHL news. Yeah, a little bit of a curveball in this start of football week for the NFL. We're going to go to NHL. The only real news I have on that is Carey Price was traded to the Sharks today for Gannon Larocque. And a 2026 fifth round pick. So once was one a Canadian is now a Shark. Carey Price is moving on. Didn't read too much into it, only saw the headline. So from what it looked like as well is that this was a cap saving move more than anything.
Interesting.
Yes. So now that we covered that, NHL's over.
And on to football.
And back to football. What I do want to say, though, is we did our Super Bowl predictions. I also was able to find some experts who also did some Super Bowl predictions. I got 68 experts. I didn't write them all down, to hell with them. But I did get a list of how many of those experts picked which teams. So we had one expert and one expert only pick one team, and that was the Denver Broncos. So he must be a homer. Not saying that it's out of the realm, but it's a long shot for sure. Out of those 68, 10 of them selected the Chiefs, which I don't think the Chiefs are going to go that far in the playoffs. So that's just me. But the overwhelming consensus has the two teams that we have picked ourselves, which the Bills come in at 24 with 24 votes, the Bills, and the number one team with almost 50% of the votes is the Baltimore Ravens. So when we said ourselves, when we did our Super Bowl predictions, by the looks of it, we're not far off from what everybody else is thinking either. So I thought that was
great week one matchup also, fellas. Great week one matchup. Sunday night.
Yeah, boy, they're really giving it to us week one, aren't they?
Yeah.
We're potentially looking at the AFC Championship game in week one.
Yep.
I love Baltimore. It's hard not to. I think everybody's saying how good Philly's roster is, and I think it is in the NFC. I think Baltimore's in top roster in the AFC, top to bottom. You know what? We may not I didn't remember how good Lamar Jackson's numbers were last year. It's 41 touchdowns and 4 interceptions last year. And he also ran for 62,000 yards and was just unbelievably, still looked elusive, still looked like the best player on the field all the time. If anything, not anymore, but over the last, maybe the first few years, and certainly maybe even in the last couple of years, the knock on him was, okay, well, how good of a passer is he? Well, forget that. That's put to bed. So, to me, it's if you got the best player on the field, the best player in the league as your quarterback, and I know you're not a Harbaugh guy, Mike. I mean, again, it's still, I think he's a top coach. To me, it's Baltimore. They've got to be.
Let me ask you a question. I don't know how many years has Lamar Jackson played in the NFL?
This is year 8 for him right now, 7 or 8.
Okay, you know how many playoff wins he has in 8 years? 7 years?
Not a lot.
3.
I know.
3. So, I'm with you. He's a fantastic player, but when it comes to crunch time, his coach.
Okay, but to be fair, we're looking at the Chiefs that have recently done something that no team has ever done in football. So, you are somewhat a product of your environment in terms of the league as well. And the landscape has been dominated, especially on the AFC side, by the Chiefs. Right. So, similar when Brady had his run, right now it's Mahomes' turn. It's Andy and it's Mahomes' turn. So, if you're the second best team on the planet compared to the best team ever, that's not a bad place to be.
My thing is, Buffalo's lost in 3 AFC title games, not Baltimore. So, they haven't been they've been a top 3 or 4 team, but not the top 2 in the AFC.
Well, I'm talking about Lamar Jackson. I'm talking about how good he is. Now, I'm not saying overall, but I'm saying Lamar Jackson.
I think he's going to be MVP candidate again. There's no doubt about that. I just, I can't argue. The guy's, it's just, until he wins one, I don't think him and Josh Allen are the same boat here. Once Ford wins one, then their credit's going to be due if they can beat Mahomes finally. So.
Right. You know what, though? To me, again, Chaz, and I'm sure you're chomping at the bit to get in. It's a little unfair that we're putting these two guys against each other often as much as we do, because you have to create then a winner and a loser. So it already puts one guy behind the 8 ball. And it's a little unfair as an assessment, in my opinion. And now if Lamar was dominating the league and Josh Allen was dominating the league, and eventually they met, and then one of them had to win, I get it. But when you develop a narrative based upon a team that's been facing each other, to me, it's a little unfair to put on the players in terms of assessing their worth and their value based on the fact that, again, one of them is behind the 8 ball, and that's kind of not fair.
Real quick, I'm not putting his playoff demise on Lamar Jackson's shoulder. I put that squarely on Harbaugh. Just because his play calling, if you ever looked at if you go back and scroll into the last 7-6 years, what they've done in the playoffs, they totally go against what they've done going into the playoffs. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, there's has to back that up, but I don't know. I mean, I just think Baltimore has a very good path, win the division, be one of the top teams in the conference. So playoff wise, they'll be at home. Just real quick, Brady, I think I saw a stat today. He had 42 career playoff games, and only 8 of them were on the road. That's incredible. That's a silly number, right? I mean, so, home field advantage matters about your success in the playoffs, too.
All right, so I think what we're going to do is we're going to go midway into our top 5. We'll just get our number 3, and then we're going to start doing some picks here for week 1. And we'll go over who we picked for college this past weekend and where we stand to date on our picks. So with that being said, let's start back into the top 5. At number 3, I'll go first on this one. I have the Carolina Panthers. Now, Matt, I know you said you had some reserve about them, but I think with last year they're going 5-12. I do think that they're hurting on the offensive side as far as their wide receivers go. They just lost Adam Thielen. He got traded out back to Minnesota. But if they're doing that, I'm going to assume that they are fine and they're good with the receivers that they have. With that being said, Bryce Young is in his third year, I believe, which I think he now has this offense down, a little bit more of a command of this offense. I believe that this is his second or third year with this offensive coordinator, so they have some familiarity there as well. But they went 5-12 last year. I'm going to say that they have a 4-game improvement to go to a winning record of 9-8 this year.
Wow. Nice.
I like their offense.
Especially in a division that's not the greatest in the first place. Which there are huge questions around that division all around. The Saints were presumably saying are probably going to be the worst in the league. The Atlanta Falcons, we have no idea what they're going to look like. And Tampa Bay is without their top 2 wide receivers probably for more than half the year. Now, I don't know what Godwin's return date is, but he's still not ready to go. And McMillan doesn't sound like he may not come back this year at all.
Right.
Well, just to be clear, I do like Carolina. I do like Bryce Young. I do like the offense. And again, I mentioned it to you a few weeks ago. For them to trade Thielen, a capable receiver, they must have looked around the room and went, "We're good."
Right.
Now I know Coker is hurt, and he's their number 2. Xavier Legette's going to move into that spot. Metrically, he's terrible. And wasn't much of a factor, only in spots when he had opportunity. So he's definitely going to have to step up. And then I'm really big on Hubbard this year. I think he's a key offensive player. I think he's a top 5 fantasy guy this year, I'm hoping. So I do like Carolina this year offensively, but defensively, that's where they're going to struggle again this year. So, but good defense is good offense for me. That's what I like to hear. So.
Okay. Well,
number 3 for me, I'll throw it out there. I got San Fran. The whole McCaffrey thing, fine. I mean, obviously, we'll be disappointed. People that were counting on him, maybe he's a factor, maybe he's not. Whatever they get from him is a bonus. I think from just now an NFL perspective, the Niners only won 6 games last year. Hence why they have one of the easiest schedules this year, at least on paper, to start the year. So, Brian Robinson, we're going to see him be a big part of that offense. And they're not healthy now, obviously. Their wide receiver room is also very thin. But I see narrative with an easy schedule, just like in college, where the first few weeks, it's get your feet wet, kind of get an identity, figure out who you are. They still got a capable offense. They still got weapons. They got a great coach. Even if they're 500 out of the gate until they get their feet wet, get them underneath them, they can still be a factor. And I don't think it's going to be hard for them to get their way to 10 wins. So I got them +4 from last year, 6 wins to 10 wins this year. But McCaffrey, that's news we'll wait to hear.
Those are pretty bold picks, guys. I like them. My number 3 is the Las Vegas Raiders. I see them with the addition of Pete Carroll, with the addition of Geno Smith, Ashton Genty. Going from 4-13 last year to 7-10 this year. I still think they're probably the bottom dweller in that division, but I think with their schedule, they have some winnable games that'll improve their. They have to find a Toby Myers for sure. They've made some upgrades on the offensive line. Geno Smith, I like because last year, Chad, I think you played 2 games, and Matt, you played 2 Raiders. I'm not sure, but Aiden O'Connell and who's the other guy they had there?
For Seattle? Oh, for the Raiders quarterback last year? Oh, yeah. My gosh. It was
games for them last year, so, I think
wasn't it game for them? I was going to say, wasn't it Minshew at some point, or was that 2 years ago?
Yes. Gardner Minshew, Aiden O'Connell, and some other kid, a young kid, played for them last year.
3 names, I think. You have 3 names or something? I don't even know.
Yes, I don't know. But I'm going with the Raiders. I mean, the Raiders a 3-game improvement going to 7-10. So.
Okay. So let's jump into our picks. So let me start out first by saying that Matt, you went 4-2 last week. Mike, you went 2-4, and I went 3-3 again. Texas and Ohio State. Matt, you picked up the win on that one for Ohio State. Mike, you picked up the under on that one. LSU and Clemson. Me and Matt won that one, and we all won the under on that one. Notre Dame and Miami. That was on Monday night. Was it Monday night or Sunday night?
Sunday night.
Sunday night. Okay. Notre Dame.
Yep. Embarrassed.
Notre Dame. Oh, that's right. We'll talk about that too. Notre Dame and Miami. Me and Matt took the Canes, and you, for whatever reason, wanted to take the stupid Irish, and nobody won the over under because we all took the under on that. So to date, we are looking at through 2 weeks, both being college football, week 0 and week 1, with our 6-pack challenge, which we're going to have one again this week. Matt 6-6, me 6-6, Mike 4-8 so far. So those are the tallies to date thus far. We're going to keep those running all throughout the year and see who does.
I'd like to recount.
What are you yapping?
I want to recount.
Well, okay, you can count yourself, and now make sure you use. Just make sure you take off your shoes so you can count properly. Okay.
I think Mike. I think you're 3-9 according to my math. But anyway, go ahead. 4-8.
3-9. We only picked 3 games.
That's okay. He can still be 3-9.
All right. Well, that didn't happen. He's 4-8.
Well, you take 6-6. We're 6-6. He could be 3-9.
Yeah, I guess you're right. That shows how much I
know.
So anyway, let's go. NFL Week 1. We've already done a few picks here. So we have this pick. We'll get to that in a second. But Thursday night, we had the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles. Matt and Mike, you both went with Dallas. I went with Philly. I lost because the spread was, at this point in time when we took it, was 7.5. So you guys won that. And nobody won the over-under. We all took over, and it went under. So tonight, myself and Matt are riding with the Chargers, which we're looking pretty good on. And Mike and Matt also took the under on that, which you guys are looking pretty good on.
That? He missed that.
Yes, he did. I just saw it now. So with that being said, we're going to go into Sunday's slate. And the first game that I have on tap here, and I'm taking all these numbers from ESPN. So Tampa Bay at Atlanta Falcons. Tampa Bay is giving 1.5, and the over-under is 47. Matt, take it away.
Falcons in the over. The big wild card this year is going to be the Falcons and Michael Penix. What do we expect? I think Tampa, with the injuries on offense, you may see maybe a slow start. Atlanta being at home, I think they're going to be fired up because I think offensively they've got some firepower. So I'm leaning Atlanta. I'll take the Falcons. I'll take them in the over in that game.
Okay. Mike.
I'm going with Tampa Bay in the under.
Okay.
I just think Atlanta defense has possibly 4 starting rookies in that defense. Tampa Bay, Mike Evans could eat a long time, so could Ibuka, and also the running game for the Bucs. So, yeah.
Mike, I'm riding with you 100% on this. I'm taking Tampa Bay in the under. Yeah, I mean, this being a divisional game, I think it's going to be, hard fought. I think it's going to be low scoring. Even though at some point in time, Baker's going to try to break this thing wide open, even with the only 2 viable options that he has. But I think we don't know anything yet, and we're not going to know anything until probably about week 4 or 5. So with that being said, I'm just going to go off of what we saw last year, which we can't do, but I'm going to do it anyway. So that's why I picked what I picked. Next on the Sunday slate.
That this game has the second highest total of the week.
So you guys were both talking at the same time. So I caught part of yours, Mike, or part of yours, Matt, and none of yours, Mike.
I said, are you keeping the tally, writing them down, the picks?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Here's my laptop.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And all I said was the irony was that the Falcons and that game has the second highest total of the week.
Yes, at 47 and a half, which is we got a bunch of ties there. Well, it's tie. It was tied with Dallas and Philly, by the way. It both were 47 and a half.
Yeah. So
we'll get to the lowest over under of the week, and ironically, it's us. So next, we on the Sunday slate we have the Cincinnati Bengals traveling to Cleveland for the Brownies, and Cincinnati is giving 5.5 on this game. Mike, you start this one.
Oh man, I'm going Cincinnati in the over in this one. I think it's a very high scoring game. I think it's like a 35-30 game. I just don't see Cincinnati stopping anything. I think Flacco and Jerry Jeudy go crazy in this for Cleveland. I think Cincinnati, Chase Brown, I think everyone scores for Cincinnati. I'm taking Cincinnati over.
Okay, I'm going to go with, again, divisional game. So I'm going to keep it a little bit tighter. But 5.5 is a lot of points in the NFL. As we saw last night, 7.5 was too much for that game, and that was a divisional game. So I'm going to stay on that trend. I'm going to take Cleveland, and I'm going to take the under because I think this is going to be a lot of filling out. And again, this is a divisional game. It's important. They're going to kind of keep some of these plays tight to the chest in the first week. So I'm going to go the under and Cleveland.
I agree with you in terms of it being a divisional type game, very close game. Plus, we've all been listening to narrative from Cincinnati and how slow they start. For the last several years, it's not something new. I mean, they year after year just can't get out of their own way. And Cleveland, on the flip side, is a team that generally plays hard to start the season. So take that narrative and the points. So give me Cleveland, divisional game. I think Cincinnati's offense, as good as we talk about them being, maybe they struggle early. I think the Browns' strength is still maybe their defense. So I'll take Browns in the under in this game.
All right, riding with me the whole way on this one. Okay, the next Sunday slate game is another 1 p.m. game. Miami at Indianapolis. This one they're giving they're giving Miami 1.5, and the over/under is 46.5. So I'll start with this one. I'm going to go with the Dolphins in a dome for this one. Now, granted, this is going to be a game where they're going to honor the late great owner Jim Irsay. They're putting him in their Ring of Honor. I think this is going to be a very emotional game. I think this is going to be a game that they kind of lose focus on the game, and a lot of them are going to be into the mindset of Jim Irsay and them playing for him. It almost seems like these tribute games or Ring of Honor games or anything like that, where they try to make this big deal and everything like that, that the home team ends up falling on their face and not performing the way that they should. On top of that, Tua is 4-0 in openers to start his career. So I'm going to take Miami getting points, and I'm going to take the over in this game.
I'm going total opposite. I'm going Colts in the under. I think the wheels come off, and I think they come off early for the Dolphins this year. The Colts have a good defense. They're a solid football team. Another team that just doesn't make mistakes. And I'm curious what the offense looks like. It's going to run through Jonathan Taylor. We know that. So I think there's going to be a lot of possessions, a lot of punts. Both teams are going to try to establish the run. Colts and under for me. I think the Dolphins, it's going to be a tire fire. As soon as their first wheel comes off, the rest of them are coming off quick.
Let's dog
that's up. My opinion of the Dolphins this year. I'm going to stick with
that. I'm going Miami in the under in this one. I think they're both horrible teams. I think Miami's strength is their offense, strength is their defense. I mean, it's going to be a battle, but I think it's going to be an ugly game. 46.5. I don't see them coming near that. So, Miami under.
Okay. Here's a game that I think everybody is interested in. that the biggest new head coaches in the league, Las Vegas Raiders and the New England Patriots. I think that this game is probably going to, like I said, probably going to be the one to watch early. We're going to be a little bit more focused on the Cleveland and Cincy game because it's our divisional round. But another game that we're probably going to be watching closely, just because we want to see how they both look, is Vegas and Patriots. So, with that being said, New England is going to give 2.5 points to the Raiders at home, and the over/under is 43.5. I think this line at 43.5 is pretty low, and as far as I can tell, there is no weather concerns or issues at any of these games this weekend, so weather should not be a factor. Because I think this is low, I'm going to take the over, and I'm going to stick with my pick and have the the Patriots win this game and cover the spread because again, we're very high on New England this year, especially me. So I'm going to take the Patriots on this. I'm going to put my money where my mouth is.
Raiders in the over for me. I think the Raiders are much improved. Mike, you noted that. It's one of your most improved teams. Again, the Patriots just the same. I think they also are one of the most improved teams. I think the teams are very similar. Outside of maybe a little more experience at the quarterback position, I think you get both head coaches that are big upgrades for both teams. And I think the culture of these teams are going to be something that we haven't seen yet. These are going to be two new football teams, theoretically. So it's curious to see how the talent plays out. I give the edge to the Patriots to win the game, but I think this is an ugly game, too. So maybe a turnover here. I'm going the Raiders get inside the number somehow, 2.5 and the over close, like a 24-23 type game. So Raiders over.
I'm going with the Raiders also, plus 2.5. I think that Christian Gonzalez injury is going to really bite them in the ass here because he would be probably the guy they put to shadow Bowers. And I think that hurts them with Geno Smith going that way. So give me Las Vegas. I'm taking the under in this game. I see some turnovers happening. I think make this both teams want to run the football. So I think that leads to an under in this game.
Okay. One little tidbit that I left out for the Colts is that they are winless since 2019 in home openers. Matt, do you want to change your pick?
Stay in there, brother. Going Colts.
Okay. Sounds good.
Because I'm telling you, this is just going to be part of the narrative. Just put that on the Dolphins show. Hey, you were the first team the Colts beat in 6 years. Oh, yeah, it's coming, boys. It's coming.
I could see that narrative happening, too. Also, I would take Danny Dimes on over his rush yards.
Write it down.
Comeback player of the year.
So the next one, still in the 1 o'clock slot, divisional game. Cardinals are going down to New Orleans to play the Saints. This one is probably one of the highest spreads of the week, the third highest, as a matter of fact. Arizona Cardinals are giving 6.5, and the over/under is 43.5. Matt, you start with this one.
Arizona and the over. Only because Arizona could score 40 on their own. I think that this is the year the Saints bring the bags back because their quarterback, by the way, is Spencer Rattler, who is by Pro Football Focus standard ranked the 32nd quarterback in the league this year. Okay, it's not going to be good offensively for them. Now, that being said, I also read somewhere that their offensive line, wait a minute, I just got a text, and I don't even play offensive line. They want me to be a backup guard this weekend. So they're hurt on the offensive line, and I think they're starting a rookie guard and maybe a rookie tackle. So it's going to be a feast fest for Arizona's pass rush this weekend. I'm all over their defense for Hampton. But that aside, Arizona in the over, 40-7. My final score.
Mike, let's hear it.
Well, I'm going to go with Arizona in the over myself. The reasoning be defense. For all 11 starters are back for Arizona, which is crazy on offense. Not much change. I think you'll see Trey Benson gain a little bit more than last year. So on defense, they signed Josh Sweat. They signed Delvin Tomlinson and Calais Campbell. They drafted Will Johnson, a corner, and but what an improvement 5 guys will make for that defense. So I like the Cardinals and the over in this one because I think it's bad football. So they might be pushing for #1 pick in the league. So,
Like,
all right, gentlemen, we're all riding on the same train on this one. I'm taking the Cardinals and I'm taking the over. So I'm not going to put any more on that because I think you both covered everything that we need to talk about with that. So I'm going to leave it at that. I'm just going to make my pick on it. So we get to the Homer section, which is the Pittsburgh Steelers going to the Jets, and on this 1:00 slate, and the Steelers are giving 2.5, and the over under is 37.5. So Mike, I'm going to let you go from 6 to midnight and talk about your team.
I'm taking the Jets in the under.
What a bonehead.
I think the Steelers win on a field goal last second. Here's my worry, and I've been saying this all year. You have basically a new offense, and you haven't played them once. It's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be like a we're going to have to go with defense. I see like a 17-16 game, but I think the Jets cover.
I got Jets in the under. I think the final score is 8-5. I just think that the defense is going to be the narrative here. I just threw my pad bucket. I ain't even going to pick it up. I just think that offensively it's going to be a struggle on both sides. But I honestly, ironically, I think Justin Fields, I think we're going to see tomorrow that he's going to be a capable quarterback. I think he's going to be the story to come out of that game. Because even though I think there won't be a lot of offense, I think both defense will be the story. I think Justin Fields and spots will make enough plays where they'll build confidence through that, especially if the Jets win. So I got the Jets in the under. Seriously, I don't know what the score is going to be, but Jets in the under for me.
I'm going to be a true homer, and because I said that the Steelers are going to win a playoff game this year, I'm going to go the Steelers to cover by a field goal, and I'm also going to ride on that under. So the next game on that slate is going to be the New York Giants going to the Washington Commanders, and this one, the spread is 5.5 to the Giants. They are the underdogs in this one. 45.5 is the total for the over under. I'm going to start with this one. I'm going to go the Commanders, and I'm going to go the under on this. Again, we're looking at a divisional game early, but I think the Commanders covered. I don't think that this is going to be high scoring in that affair because it is a divisional game. But I think the Giants are still trying to figure out what they have and how good they have it. Where the Commanders already know what they have, not much has changed from last year, except more of the playbook. And if they're going to give Jaden Daniels more of the playbook, then it might be a dangerous thing. So I'm going to stick with that and say the Commanders to cover and the under.
Mike, you want to go?
Yeah, I'm going to take the Giants in the under in this one. I really like the Giants defense this year. They were good last year. I think they're going to be better this year. And, I love Neighbors. I love my things and lead the league in catches this year. I think the guy's a stud. I think having Russell Wilson is going to help him. And I think they can run the ball. The Commanders, I think, are a good football team. My worries in the first week here, Terry McLaurin didn't practice a lot. How much is he involved? And who is the running back? I mean, they had a good running back in Brian Robinson. Is it Rodriguez? Who knows? Is it John Riggins coming back? I'm not sure. So, I think they're going to win the football game, but I'm concerned about the Commanders right now. Well, so give me the Giants in the under.
It's that new running back that got real popular all of a sudden. He's got 3 names also. I can't think of it right now, but he's there you go, 7th round pick, whatever it is, wherever they got him from. This is my lock of the week right here. Lock of the week. Giants money line. They need the points. They're going to win this game out. You mentioned the defense. I don't have any faith in Washington's run game at this point. And with the question mark of McLaurin, I'm curious to see how that Washington offense is going to look. I think the Giants are going to be able to stop the run. And if they do that, you're going to put that offense into some spots where the Giants are going to be able to pin their ears back, I think, in this case. I think the Giants will win this game. I think the Giants are one of my surprise teams. So definitely give me the points, and I'll take the under as well. Giants in the under for me.
We're all riding on the under. Okay, the last 1 o'clock game for Sunday is the Carolina Panthers going to Jacksonville in Duval County.
Duval.
Jaguars are the favorites, giving 3.5, and the over/under is 46.5. Mike, you're high on the Jaguars. Why don't you go ahead and start this one off? I think we know what
The
your pick
Jaguars
is.
the over in this one. We're looking at last year's 32nd defense in Carolina and last year's 31 ranked defense in Jacksonville. Two interesting tidbits on these teams from last year. The Carolina Panthers could not stop the run whatsoever. Bell cow in Jacksonville. Will be Etienne, will be Bigsby, will be the rookie, Tootin. And then on the other side of the ball, Jacksonville only had 34 defense. That has to improve for them. That being said, like Jacksonville on the over in this guy that I love in this game, Matt said Brian Robinson Jr. To me, Strange, the tight end. The offensive coordinator, the head coach now, Duval, is in Jacksonville. He loved Auten in Tampa Bay. Watch what Strange does here. I think he has a big year.
I agree with that. The kid's talented, super athletic.
He's a red zone guy.
Yeah, Brian Thomas. Yeah.
No, Strange, the tight end.
No, you said Brian Robinson, and we're talking.
Yeah.
So, well, Jacksonville for me, because we just mentioned Carolina losing their top corners, and their top corner on the worst ranked defense last year. They can't afford to lose anything on defense. So I think defense is going to be a struggle. The rage is Jacksonville's offense this year, new coach, new direction, more talent. I'm on Jacksonville. Big on them and big on DFS as well. So Jacksonville and the over. I do think Carolina puts points up because Jacksonville's defense wasn't great either last year. So fun game to watch, I think. But I think Jacksonville scores a bunch of points, and they certainly get to that total in the over. Jacksonville in the over.
All right, I'm going to fade you guys. I'm going with Carolina in the under. I just don't think this is going to be a fun game to watch for the reasons that you just said on defense, but also on offense as well. Trevor Lawrence doesn't seem like he has any grasp of what that team is or can be, and Carolina is hurting on offense when it comes to wide receivers. They gave one up. They're unsure of Leggett being the second. And we don't even know what McMillan is over there starting his first NFL start of his career. So will he get the nerves out? Will he let these guys run all over him and tear him apart? We'll see. So for that case, I'm going to take the Carolina Panthers getting points and the under because I think this is going to be an ugly game. So we have reached the end of the 1 p.m. games, and I think before we go any further, we should dive back into the top 5. And at number 2, does anybody want to go with this, or you want me to go?
You go.
All right. So number 2 I have is the Cincinnati Bengals. Last year they went 9-8. I don't think they have a winning season this year. I think they go 7-9. I just, we had talked about this last year, and we were unsure of them. And Matt, you reminded us as well about how much of a slow start team this team is. And because of that, I don't think they have the defense to help them out like they did last year. Not to mention, it seems like this defense just is non-existent. Trey barely wants to be there. He did get paid, but they haven't invested in him for anything more than one more year. Um, so he's basically playing for next year for a new team. But I don't think he has any help behind him whatsoever to keep these scores low and keep these teams from getting ahead of them. Now their biggest defense is a good offense, and that's about all they have. So as long as one team can figure out how to slow them down, I think that's going to be the game right there for the Cincinnati Bengals. So there's my pick for you: the Cincinnati Bengals having a losing season this year, which still coincides, Matt, with what you said, 5,050 touchdowns. So
Yeah, he could have a bunch massive year fantasy wise, I think, but we'll see how it plays out. They got to keep him upright too. The offensive line, that's been a continual issue for them. So we'll see if that gets any better this year. My team to improve is the Bears. I got them. They were a 5-win team last year. I got them winning 9 games this year. I got them as a 4-game improvement. I was listening to Cosell, and he breaks down a lot of film and tape. I've mentioned him before. And he was talking about how good the coach is now for the Bears, how good he is at how good he was getting Goff in position to throw between the numbers, creating lanes for the offense for the quarterback to be in the best position. And we know I feel Caleb has the tools, physical tools, to be a good quarterback. He can make all the plays. I think environment certainly is important as a quarterback, and I think last year kind of got a raw deal there. I think this year it's going to be important to see how it plays out. I have faith in approach and in the coaching staff and the talent. I think this is a little bit of a make or break season. I mean, they spent money and they've got weapons. So I got the Bears improving in a tough division. I mean, this could be clearly one of the best divisions in football. If the Bears could win 9 games in that division and still not get in. Whereas in other divisions in football, that could be enough to win the division. Like if you were the Titans or something like that. But I got the Bears going up 4 games after last year's 5-win total. 9 wins for the Bears.
I have a team I think is going on the downward swing. Team I just mentioned, the Washington Commanders. I think they go from 12-5 down to 10-6. I think they're a good football team, but I think I just think they're going to take a step backward. I think the running game is bad, and second-year players, they have a hiccup sometimes. I think Daniels is a real dude. He's a good quarterback. See what Debo brings to that team. Health is going to be important for that Washington squad. Ertz, Debo, the running backs. We'll see.
Yeah, they don't have good history injury-wise.
Right.
all right, let's back into our picks. We're going to start off with the 4 o'clock slate. 4:05. Tennessee Titans go up to Denver and play Denver. One of the biggest spreads of the day is going to be Denver giving 8.5 in Mile High to the Tennessee Titans and a 42.5 over under. I'm interested in what Matt has to say about this one.
Really tough spot for the number 1 overall pick to end up playing in those conditions. We talk about weather being a huge factor. I don't even know what kind of experience or exposure these Tennessee players have gotten to that. Certainly, it's an advantage for Denver, that Mile High atmosphere. Mike, who was it for us? Was it one of our deep? Yeah, Ryan Cool. Yeah, I mean, couldn't play. I mean, almost died. I mean, so that elevation is a factor. It's a similar factor to the heat down here in Miami, humidity.
Right.
So if you're not used to that. So anyway, so all of it lines up negatively for Cam Ward. That being said, it's a lot of points. Tennessee's always, that team is just, they're a good football team. Last year they got atrocious quarterback play from Will Levis. A huge touchdown from Kelsey right now. How they do this, I have no idea.
Wide
But,
open. Wide open.
Wide open. I think the game stays close to the best because I don't think they want to run a lot of plays. And they certainly don't want Denver to run a lot of plays. And I think if Denver gets in a positive game script, which they will, I think they're going to run the ball. I think they're going to just hammer the ball. So close game, ugly game. Give me the road team and the under.
How that was not a penalty for excessive celebration is beyond me.
I saw a flag late. I don't know if they picked it up or not. They're going
Anyway,
for two.
yeah. Anyway, yeah, being how that this is a first game in pretty almost as bad as conditions as you said as in Miami with the weather being the way that it is up there and it's hard to breathe. And Cam Ward, although I don't doubt his abilities, it's the first time you're going to see live action. I mean, like this is like legit.
Yeah, the big.
Yeah, this is where the big boys play. Not to mention Nick Bonito just got paid after having a 13.5 sack year last year. So with that being said, I'm going to take the Denver Broncos, giving up a ton of points, and I'm going to take the over.
I am with you, Chaz. I'm taking Denver and the over myself.
All right, Matt.
Wait
all
a
that.
minute, wait a minute. I'm sorry. I have Denver in the under. I took
Okay.
in that one.
Okay.
Yeah, Denver in the under.
Matt, real quick, what did you take on that game? I was too busy watching the touchdown.
I got the under. Tennessee in the under.
Okay. Don't blame you for getting that amount of points, though. So the next 4:00 game is a interesting one, to say the least. I think we're all interested in this game as well. Number one, we want to see what happens with this CMC deal, and I also want to see how awful Sam Darnold is. So the 49ers are going to Seattle, and the San Francisco 49ers are giving a 1.5 to Seattle in Seattle, and the over-under is 43.5. Mike,
I am going to take Sam Darnold leading the Seattle Sea Chickens to victory in the over the San Francisco 49ers. Like a son of a gun right now. And that defense is not very good.
No. I have league MVP Sam Darnold. No, I'm just kidding.
I will throw up.
And then swallow.
Yes.
So who you got, Mike?
I'm taking Seattle to win in the over.
Yeah, on the over.
Yeah.
Home field advantage used to mean more, I think. Vegas would generally consider it to be like 3 points. That was kind of the norm. But I think that's come back a bit. Like, I don't think home field is as important anymore. I think it's about 1.5. That being said, Seattle is still, I think, a 3-point home favorite. That's a tough environment. And what they're telling you is San Francisco is a better football team. I'm not sure of that. Maybe it's certain positions, but across the board, defensively, Seattle is much better than the Niners. I mean, Seattle's defense I think could be a top 5 unit. And so that's enough for me. So for me, it's Seattle. I think there's question marks on San Fran's offense. They're a little thin and they're not healthy. So I'll take Seattle in the under.
Oh, that was nasty. Damn.
Oh, there you go. That should be a penalty.
Got away with it, too.
You got away with it? Okay.
Yeah.
I think you all know where my loyalty lies in this game. Give me Mr. Irrelevant because I hate the other guy. And I'm going to take the under as well on this one. You're going to see it all year, boys. Don't be worried. You're going to see it all year.
When we get off the phone, I'm ordering a jersey for both of us.
Oh, by the way, I have shirts coming.
Okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yep. I got you extra cheech.
Oh shit, Mike! I swear to you, I was just gonna say, I hope you ordered extra juice. I could not. I swear to God. I swear to God, I couldn't get it out. That's
Yep.
funny as hell. So, yeah,
Well,
interesting. Nice.
that's fantastic. All right, the next Sunday 4 o'clock game, closer to 4:30. This is going to be a 4:25 game. Again, this is another game that I think that we're all going to be looking at and with bated breath. The Detroit Lions are going to Green Bay to take the Packers on, and the Packers are giving 1.5 at home to the Lions, and the over/under is 47.5. So I will start with this one since you guys have started the last ones. Even though now there's a big question mark with Parsons, we don't know what's going to happen there. But again, divisional game, so that automatically puts me in the under looking at this. Um, Even though we know that Detroit can really open this game up, we've seen them do it all last year. We'll see if it continues this year. But in this case, I'm going to have to take the Lions getting a 1.5 in Lambeau. And again, weather's not a factor so much this weekend. So, Detroit's going to get in and out of here lucky with not much weather. So for that reason, I'm going to take the Lions.
Taking Detroit and the.
I'm getting the points, and I'm taking the under.
Okay.
Over under on Josh Jacobs carries this week for me. I got it at 46. I think they're going to just that. Again, I'm not on Jacobs this year. I think last year's workload was tremendous. I think his history is, year after that, usually it's not a good thing, whatever. But I don't think they're going to stop. I think they're going to continue to do it. And I think in this game, I think you can run on them, and I think they're going to be able to do so. So it's a heavy run game, I feel. And again, teams are trying to. First week, they're not letting out the playbook. It's going to be a lot of these games, I feel, are going to be a little bit close to the vest to start with. I think we've seen it in both games. Yesterday's game, maybe not so much because, again, the Cowboys' defense is terrible. But, this game you're seeing it started out defensively. I think most of the game's narrative are going to start out as a feel kind of situation. This game, no different. So, but I do think Green Bay is probably going to win this game. Tough spot. And I love Darnold. So, I'm sorry, not Darnold. I'm Jordan Love. Give me Green Bay, but give me the under because I think, again, lower scoring game and a lot of Josh Jacobs, 30-plus carries maybe for that guy.
So, Mike, right before you pick here, Mike, this might sway you. This might sway everybody else.
Yeah.
But Jared Goff is 8-0 against the spread for week ones.
Well, it didn't sway me. I'm picking Detroit. I'm riding with you, Chad, Detroit and the over in this one. Let me ask you guys this one, and this one has baffled me all fantasy drafts and leading up to this one. Are you buying the narrative on he's going to be the superstar in favorite?
Who's this?
Matthew Gold.
Oh, yes.
I'm not. Right away.
Okay.
I think Wolves likes to spread the ball around too much. They have a really good tight end in Kraft. They have Dontavius Wicks. They have Reed. He spreads that ball around to 6.
Are you talking about is the player a good player or is he going to get good production?
I think he's a good player. I think he's a good player, but he was drafted really high in a few of my leagues, and I think he's a heck of a player. But I just think how Green Bay's offense runs, they run it. They don't target one guy. They run the gauntlet. Love looks around. He checks down a lot. You know what I mean? Reed, Wicks. So.
Well, you're right. There's a lot of mouths to feed. But all I can tell you in terms of the player is that
he's a hell of a player.
Just today, Cosell in his analysis talked about Matthew Golder and had him rated as the 6th best player in the draft. That's overall. Yeah. And again, that was based on a lot of things he looks at, route concepts and how they run routes and separation and hands and ability and all and intangibles. So I mean, he had him rated not only as, but like that's pretty tremendous praise. So I'm high on the kid just based on that. And again,
Right.
he had a good college career and whatnot. But again, you don't know usage. Again, now those storylines are going to play out, and we're going to have to follow those when we go to decide how we're going to use these players, fantasy-wise especially, or props or whatever we're doing. So, yeah, usage-wise is very important.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that one of the sole reasons why they picked Matthew Golden, and especially as high as they did, was number one, they were in Green Bay and they knew it was going to give them a pop because of the history of Green Bay not taking offensive players for the last like 7 years. So I think that was a little bit of a play into that. Not to mention, I think Matthew Golden is going to be their over the top option because he runs a 4.21 lightning speed. So um, he's going to be probably more or less focused on the home run ball more than Dink and Duncan working in between the numbers and in between the hashes.
Right.
So I think because of that, we're probably not going to see a lot of production out of him because they're going to kind of use him as a one-trick pony for the time being.
That's what I was thinking too. With that receiving core and how they use people, I agree.
Right.
Plus, they've been unlucky in that receiver room the last few years with injuries, so it wouldn't hurt to have an extra body around that they can move around as pieces in that offense too. Certainly going up and spending draft capital like that, he's a guy they can use for that. At some point.
Wow.
Look at this
Touchdown. Quentin Johnson again?
Yeah, wow.
He should retire. He should retire. He's caught like 2 touchdowns a night.
Yeah.
It's definitely one of his better games in his career.
I'm 2-0 on my picks.
We'll see.
I got to see what happened in my college games tonight, guys. James Madison in Northern Illinois.
Yep. While you go ahead and look at that, we're going to talk about the next game here at 4:25. The Houston Texans go to the LA Rams up in SoFi, and the Houston Texans are going to get 3.5 on the road with a over/under of 43.5. I think this one's an easy pick for me, only because we just don't know what's going to go on with Stafford, and I'm just so fearful that he's going to take one hit, and that's going to be it for him for the rest of the year. So for me, again, I think it's easy pick. I'm going to take Houston. I'm going to get the points, and I'm going to take the over in this game.
Hit them both, fellas. Hit them both.
There you go.
15.5 for James Madison. They lost by 14. And Northern Illinois, we're getting 16.5 against Maryland. They lost by 11. So nice.
Lock it up. Nice.
Yeah, $10 back for $38. So, what game are we on here? Houston and the Rams.
Yeah.
Houston and the Rams.
And you took Chaz?
I took Houston and I took the over.
Going the opposite way. I'm taking the Rams and the under.
Okay.
I think the Houston is going to be challenged this year offensively a little bit with no run, and offensive line is still bad. And if Stafford's healthy, I think the Rams are a better team overall. So, and at home, so give me the Rams and the under.
I agree. I think you're going to get the best version of the Rams you could ever see at any point. It's going to be week 1. And we already said they're a Super Bowl team. So the mismatch is the upfront battle. I think the offensive line for Houston is still an issue. It's been quiet in Houston. Like, there's no noise right there. Nothing. I mean, we're assuming they're just going to be status quo, an average football team, maybe a little overinflated with Stroud last year and then maybe coming back to earth a bit. But they could go either way. A little bit of enigma. I wouldn't be surprised to see Houston win 11 games and win that division. That division's not that good, so they're going to certainly win some of those games. So that being said, Rams best foot forward week 1. Rams under defensive game.
Okay. Sunday night game. Probably the biggest game on the slate. The Baltimore Ravens are going to Buffalo this early, so weather is not a factor. The Ravens are giving 1.5 to Buffalo, and Buffalo is at home. And the over-under is 50.5. Biggest over-under thus far. Matt, go for it, brother.
I like points. I'll get to my side in a second. But I think we're going to end the weekend like we started the weekend, even though yesterday's game after the power failure got wacky. But you started off with a lot of points in that game yesterday. I think we're going to go out with a bang, too. I think this game's going to be a lot of offense. The two best quarterbacks in the league going up against each other. We've seen it before. Two offenses, two talented teams. I'm on Baltimore's side, though, because I think, like we talked about pre-show, other weeks, when you got the best player on the field that can do everything at any point, I think you game plan for that. It's tough to game plan against. And I think, Baltimore regular season is certainly a better team than they are postseason. Maybe it's preparation. Maybe it's just different factors. I'm not sure. But I also think, remember my couple of years ago when we opened the season in Buffalo, and Buffalo was the rage. And then I think we beat them week 1, right? And we are not a fast-starting team at all. Buffalo generally is one of these teams, too, like a Cincinnati, that doesn't usually get out of the gate well. I don't know. For me, it's Baltimore. There's no pressure right now. Baltimore loses this game. As long as it's competitive, you're going to be like, oh, they lost to Josh Allen in Buffalo. Not a big deal. But if Buffalo loses this game, it is a big deal because now you lose your first game 1 of the week, home opener, and then the questions start to come into play. So that being said, I love controversy, and I love Lamar Jackson. So give me some Baltimore and the over. Get these points, 30s, 35, 34, some crazy game like that. That's what I got.
I will take Baltimore myself, but I'm taking the under in this one. I think it's a hell of a game, but I think the defense is. I think Buffalo, their wide receiver core worries me. There's not one guy that really jumps off the paper to me. Keon Coleman, Shakir. I don't know. I think they're gonna try to run the ball more with James Cook and Johnson. But I think Baltimore's just a better team overall. So right now. So.
Well, because I picked Buffalo to win the Super Bowl, I'm also going to pick them to win this game. I don't like it because normally I would jump all over Baltimore in this game. But I think here's what I think happens. I think the Ravens score at will, and it takes them less time to score. But I think Buffalo grinds out the clock and is able to probably kick that last field goal to win. And because of that, I'm going to say the under on that as well. But I'm taking Buffalo to get a 1.5.
Mike, you picked up on that offensive philosophy so much about what they've been forced to do is because they've never really had that one receiver. Like Shagir's been their best guy, but he's a slot guy. He's a move change. He's not a over-the-top guy. But hopefully Coleman develops. They also got Josh Palmer. And if they can get one of these two guys on the outside to give them a number one, at least a semblance of one, I think it makes that offense even better. It takes maybe some of the pressure off of Josh Allen. And maybe even opens up more lanes for Cook, where he's just as effective as he was last year.
Right.
So I think too, Kincaid, nobody's talking about him. 2-3 years ago, he was the rave. And then last year again, offensively, you don't know. Again, they've got pieces on offense.
They're a football team. Yeah.
Yeah. So, they're going to be just fine. But it's just for me, it's Lamar Jackson. So we'll see.
Buffalo's top corner is also out this week. Tre'Davious White, he's out, so that's a big deal.
Wonderful, wonderful news. I'm going to stick with my pick. So, last game on the slate, Monday night, big Monday night game, divisional game. Minnesota Vikings go into Chicago to take on the Bears, and the Vikings are giving a 1.5. Over under is 43.5. Mike, you start this one.
Welcome to the NFL, JJ. You're seeing a defense that's going to rush for and get to the quarterback and a secondary that's nasty. I'm sorry, but you know what? I'm sorry. I'm lying. What am I talking about? Your second-year league, Caleb. I'm not a big Bears fan, Matt. You're jumping on the Bears. Williams, to me, he is what he is. That and that, they him. Again, I'm not sold on J.J., but I think the defense up a lot. I think Minnesota runs a balanced offense. I do like Aaron Jones, the mixture of the two. I think it's going to be 50-50 running backs there. And so give me Minnesota in the under in that one.
I actually thought you were going with Chicago.
No.
Well, I talked about how good Ben Johnson is about creating lanes for, when he did it for Goff and how good he was between the numbers. I think that consistency, I think there's going to be a lot of single read ball. They're going to get Caleb comfortable. And I think the offense is going to look good tomorrow. I really do. That being said, I think coaching is so, we talk about it ad nauseum. And like you said, it's going to be pretty hostile. And it's a rookie quarterback per se. It's just going to be a tough go. And for me, I don't want to say it's the Bears Super Bowl, but man, if they get out of the gate and they lose the home opener division to a rookie quarterback, JJ, whatever, man, it's not a good team in Chicago. I mean, they really need to start the year. If any team needs to start the year 1-0, in my opinion, it's the Bears. So, with everything they've talked about and what they've done in the offseason, this is about as close as an important Super Bowl game that any team's going to face week 1 this year. So I got the Bears. So give me the Bears. Give me the over. I think there'll be some excitement, some crazy shit happen, some plays, and 40 points. So Bears in the over.
Wow. Okay, I'm going to stay with the over. I'm going to follow you on that one, Matt, because I think this is a little low for this one. Even though this is a divisional game, I get that, but I think this one's a little bit low considering the firepower that Minnesota has. But I'm riding the JJ train. I think that
Are you serious?
Yeah. How was he that far open, by the way?
How are you
know.
open that much?
I don't
Sorry,
know.
Chaz.
Is that Hollywood Brown?
Yeah. He's open like 10 yards.
Yeah, that's why. He's Hollywood Brown. But at any rate, I'm going to stick with JJ. I'm going to give the points. I'm going to take the Vikings away, and I'm going to do the over as well. So, with that being said, we have picked the entire slate. Good luck, gentlemen, on that. And that brings us to our final top 5 pick of the 2025-26 season of who we think is going to either do the best or the worst compared to what they were last year. Where'd my list go? There it is. Okay, so I think we all know where I'm going on this one. We've been talking about it almost at nauseum at this point, but I think they do a monumental shift from going 4-13 last year to going 11-6 this year, a +7. The New England Patriots is my number one.
Wow. So I have the Patriots going 8-9, a 4-game improvement. That was my number one. But since you took them, I'm going to go with a team that I think is going to digress. The team that won last night. I think Philadelphia goes from 14-3 to 12-5. Just because I think the Giants are better, the Cowboys are better. They're pretty good football teams in that division. Plus, they're playing a number one schedule. I don't know what their schedule is, but I think I could see them winning 12 games but taking a 2-game, but still winning division probably. So
I like that one. I also had the Patriots as a 5-game improved winner. They're one of my most improved teams. So I'll have a little fun with this one. Steelers last year. We won 10 games last year. We went 10-7 last year. Okay. I think this year we win -2 games with a tie. So I see a 13-game difference for the Steelers this year. No, seriously. I'm going to say we go 6-11. How about that? -5-game swing. I think there's a scenario that Aaron doesn't play a full season. I think there's a scenario that we're forced to play a rookie. Will Howard. And typically, again, throwing into the fire on a team that historically struggles offensively. I can't see that really changing a whole lot. Certainly, if you throw a rookie quarterback in the mix. So I think that's just going to be a monumental task to win games in that situation. So why not the Steelers winning maybe only 6 games this year, 6-11? So let's put our lovely Steelers at -4 under those circumstances. I'm saying I hope it doesn't happen, and I'm a fan. I'm not rooting against them, but there are roads, fortunately, in my opinion, too many that lead towards failure this year and not success. So we'll see how it plays out.
All right. Sounds good. So, I think with that being said, we are looking at about a little, we're going to probably go a little over 2 hours here, which we're going to try to keep under 2 hours from going forward. But with
Big,
that
big first week though.
big first week, you are correct. So we're just going to end the show with a little bit of college football. We're going to do the pick six for college football, or the 6-pack challenge for college football. We'll save our Bill Belichick debut for Tuesday when we come back and talk about that, because Matt typically can't join us on Tuesday, so we'll kind of save some of our NCAA talk for Tuesday. So with that being said, I took 3 of what I think are big games or important games that I do every week, and we're going to go and pick those ones. So the first one I have on my slate is number 12, Illinois versus unranked Duke. And what's ironic about this is that this game is projected to be a 50-50 split, which I thought was ironic. They're both starting off the year 1-0, and the Illinois Fighting Illini away are giving Duke 2.5, and the over under is 49.5, which these are pretty manageable numbers, almost NFL numbers, if you will, between these 3 teams or these 3 games that I chose. So, Matt, why don't you go ahead and take a swing in the dark on this one?
Ooh, put me first. Well, for the record, I'm not wearing any pants, and I took them off just for the college picks. You didn't notice it, but both hands slid low and I got them all. So I figured this is going to be a lock for me this weekend. So, what was the total again in this game?
The over under is 49.5, and Illinois is giving 2.5.
2.5, 49.5, 2.5. For me, I think you have to say Illinois, just because the S is there for a reason. That being said, I think we're going to use that S this weekend and the total in the oval. So lay the points, take the oval, use the S when you can. That's where I'm going with this. So.
I'm not picking.
You're picking.
Hey, this is college, guys. This is college. This is what I do.
Give me Duke in the over at home.
What are you taking?
Duke in the over.
Okay, Duke in the over. All right, so I'm going to follow you on the Duke side, getting points against a number 12 team, which to me is.
That's insane.
And that's crazy to me. The fact that they're ranked 12th, but they're giving points. I mean, they're
Right.
they're not giving a lot of points, is what I'm saying.
No, but still.
And on top of that, it's almost like a 50-50.
Yeah.
You know, as a matter of fact, Duke is 50.6% chance to win, which an unranked team versus a ranked team in this nature in the top 15 has me a little bit worried, to the point where I think somebody knows something. So that's the reason why I'm going to take Duke, but I'm going to take the under on this game.
Can we call it Dookie instead of just Duke?
I mean, if you're going to call it Illinois, then we're going to have to call it Dookie.
Call it Dookie. Yeah.
It's Illinois versus Dookie. So, all right. Just curious.
Mike, what did you take? You took Duke as well, didn't you?
Duke over. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So the next one on the slate is going to be, I think, is a pretty big game. But if you're from Iowa, you don't think it's a big game at all because you think one team is more inferior than the other, and that is Iowa versus Iowa State. So a rivalry game this early, and nobody is ranked in this game, but Iowa State is going to give 3.5 to visiting Iowa, and the over under is only 43.5. Mike, go ahead.
I'm going to take Iowa State in this one in the under. They had a big win week 1 in Dublin, and I think they're going to continue it and play well. And give me the Cyclones in the under in this one.
I'm going the same. I agree with you 100% on that one. I think that I hope all their luggage made the trip, came back with them. That's a hell of a trip to Dublin. Are you in favor of all this overseas football now? College just came. I
No.
don't like it. Sorry. Anyway, yeah. So I'm going to follow my picks here. I'm going Iowa State number.
All right, I'm going to fade you both. I'm going to take Iowa, and I'm going to take the over because this is still college football, and that is a low over under for 43.
It's Iowa, Chaz. You should know better.
I get that. But
Yeah.
I'm still going to take them. They're getting points.
Okay.
They're getting points. So
yeah, no, I don't mind that. The over, I'm shocked that you're taking.
I'm taking the over because, again, it's college football. And
right. I got it.
College football is, besides Texas and Ohio State that scored 21 combined points on a 50.5 point spread.
I know.
is a little bit off kilter from what college football usually is. So for that case, I'm going to take the over on this one. And that leaves us with the big game, the more important game, the highlighted game, if you will, of the weekend, which is number 14 Michigan going into number 18 Oklahoma. The Wolverines are getting 4.5 on the road, and the over-under is a very low 44.5. I'll start this one. I hate Michigan with a passion because they're seem to be one of Penn State's formidable foes. But we don't struggle with them as much as we do with Ohio State. So I hate Michigan already. But I'm not confident in this Oklahoma team. So even though it is against my better judgment, I'm going to take Michigan and all their suspensions and everything they got that the NCAA has told them that they can't do anymore. And I'm going to take the over on this game as well. I think this is going to be a shootout.
I don't want to sing the song Oklahoma, but I am going to take Oklahoma.
Don't do it.
And the over as well. I do like the points in that game. But yeah, I'm taking Oklahoma in that game. Michigan, I don't know, young quarterback too, right?
Yeah.
Freshman.
Yeah. Tough spot to play, obviously, in Oklahoma. I mean, and that total tells you that it is a defensive team. Oklahoma plays good defense. So Oklahoma, but I think the total's low. I'd take the over. I'll take it. Oklahoma and the over.
So I'm taking, so you have the freshman quarterback for Michigan against the Heisman for Oklahoma. Going into Norman, give me the Sooners all day in the over in this one.
Yep.
All right, so we're all picking the over. Okay. So by the looks of it here is that Chicago, not Chicago. The Chargers look to be like they're going to close this game out with 2 minutes left, a 2-minute warning, and the Chargers just picked up a first down here, and they're up 27-21. So it's looking like we are going to be walking out of this with a Charger win. Now, are they going to cover? That is to be the question. By the looks of it, probably not.
The Chiefs are favored, right?
Yeah.
Yes, the Chargers are getting 3.5. So
yeah, so they're going to cover and get the over. So I lost both.
Yeah. So there you have it.
By the way, quick stat on the Chiefs. Chiefs are averaging 23 points a game over the last 2 seasons. Not
Wow.
very good.
No.
That's it. 23 points a game.
Wow.
Defense is carrying them. By the way, how many points did the Chiefs score tonight?
21.
21.
Okay, there you go. Basically, you get the first team 21 wins.
Who's the over-under in this one, guys?
The over-under in this one was 46.5. So the
Yes,
over.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I was the lone person to take the over in this one.
Yeah. In my weekly pool that I'm in, it's a $250 buy-in one time. He gives weekly prizes and then tallies it for the year. It's against the spread every game. Last night, 16% of the pool, 130 people, I think, is in there. I think I said, had Dallas, and I was one of them, which is good. Tonight, I think it was 39 or 40% were on the Chargers, and Chargers had won. I was on the Chargers. So 2 dogs to start out the week in terms of the public perception. I think 125, 130 guys. That's a pretty good cross section of guys, and gals, whatever, picking games. So. The public is 0-2 to start the year, basically, let's say.
Yeah.
So
by the sounds of it, don't follow the public.
Interesting, right? I mean, it can go either way.
Yep.
Regress to the means, and maybe the public's right through the next 5 attempts, or
follow the shark.
After week one's over, maybe the public is like 3-14 in their narrative.
Oh.
So could make it very interesting.
Yep.
So I'm going to see where you rank the game 16-1 point wise. Okay. Out of 45 people, 48 people, I'm sorry, only 7 people took the Chargers.
Well,
Straight up.
You can count 9 because me and Matt also took the Chargers.
There you go. Boom, drop the mic. Got to tell you, another game that's going to be very popular this weekend against the grain. Nobody's taking the Giants this weekend. And I'm telling you right now, Giants have a chance to win that game outright.
I agree. I totally agree.
Yeah.
Real quick, DK lineups. Now, we were talking about that briefly.
Yeah.
And I'm going to end the show later with a little stat that I saw tonight. I'm like, wow, it blew my mind.
Well, this is the end of the show. So go ahead and do your DFS shit. And go ahead and do your little stat there.
Okay.
So I'm going to let you guys. Yeah, go ahead. I'm going to let you guys roll on this DFS. So I'm just going to back out for a minute.
Okay.
All right, forwards. I'm interested in, Mike. Real simple. We talked about how bad Carolina's defense is. Big injury in the corner position. Trevor Lawrence all day. This is their week. This is their offensive. Talking about how good the offense is going to be. Dave Canales, all this stuff. Give me Trevor Lawrence this week. Super cheap on DK. He's like the 18th or 19th price quarterback. Really cheap. And then pair me up with some Brian Thomas because he's the one. And give me week 1 success on that offense. So give me Brian Thomas. Give me that hookup this weekend. It's good to catch a stack. When you're going with offenses. Again, it's a ride or die, but I will take that stack this weekend. So give me the combination of Trevor Lawrence and Brian Thomas Jr.
So I have a stack myself. I do have my favorite tight end in the league this week at 3,300 is Burton Strange from Jacksonville. I love him this week. Very cheap. My stack is Joe Flacco at 4,900. Very low. Jerry Jeudy's only 5,400. I think he's a huge game again. I think it's a high-scoring game. I think Flacco and Jeudy put together a big game. So
I like that because either narrative, even if Cincinnati scores offensively, which they should, Cleveland's going to be in a positive game script where they're going to have to throw the football. And Cincinnati's back-end defense, have they improved? Yeah,
no, they got worse. I was actually, before we went on, I was looking at their secondary. Most guys were backups last year.
Yeah.
Like their second, they let go of Mike Hilton. He went to Miami. I couldn't name you their backup. Now their starters I know, but they're not good. They were the same guy who got 12 last year.
Yeah, 100%.
Another guy who I love, middle of the road. You probably love him too. Chase Brown.
Yeah, I do like that.
He's like number 15 running back.
Yeah.
And then the other guy, the other team I took with defensive line, Texans, Hunter. They're playing the Rams. It could be a low-scoring game. The Texans, they have a really good defense, and they could take them back. So, on DK, you don't score a lot defensively. I always look for a team who can maybe get you some cheap points, pick sacks, and maybe a pick six or a fumble recovery.
Right.
So,
Let me give you a deep sleeper for a wide receiver who I really like this weekend. Again, because I'm touting them as winning the game. I like Darius Slayton this weekend. He's their number 2, and he's only like $4,200 on DK.
wow.
And they're going to take deep shots with him. He's going to be their over-the-top guy. So to me, it's Neighbors on one side getting all the attention. I get it, but Darius Slayton's a guy who can get over the top. And with Neighbors running those underneath routes, getting those quick seam routes, Slayton can definitely get behind that defense. Because remember, their secondary also is not great, Washington's. So I definitely think Slayton is a sneaky play this week as well.
Yeah. So here's my stat I found, guys, that blew my mind. Derrick Henry, the all-time leader rushing yards for high school football players. Okay? In 9 seasons in the NFL, he has 11,000 yards. In 4 years in high school, he ran for 12,124 yards. In his last game as a high school player, he ran for 485.
So
that's because he looks the same as he does now.
I was going to say. So basically, that's telling me that he was a man amongst boys.
Yes.
Thank you. He was a man in a child's game. Yeah.
I saw 12,000 in high school. Wow. Damn.
That's crazy. He probably averaged over 10 yards a pop.
Probably. Yeah.
Oh, he had to have with that type of total. Yeah, and not to mention his last game, he ran for over 400. Yeah. They weren't feeding him. They weren't feeding him. 15 to 25 carries a game. No, it was more like 3 carries a game.
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah. Did you guys see any updates on the injury for Worthy?
No, but I'm going to go ahead and suggest that. I'm going to go ahead and say it's either going to be it's either going to be a broken collarbone or it's going to be a separated shoulder.
I could see that. Yeah.
My guess is if it's separated, we're probably looking at the end of Worthy this year.
Yeah.
Depending if he tore anything. If he tore something, he's done.
Speaking of this real quick, how about what you sent? I didn't realize that. Cooper retired after signing with the Ravens?
Amari Cooper has retired. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, so I thought it was interesting. So he signed on August 26th, and here we are the night before, 2 nights before the start of the season for them anyway, for them, and he opts to retire. So says he said I think he said that he just couldn't get himself ramped up to play. So it kind of sounds like he was over the whole grind of the season. You know what I mean?
He has 2 contracts, so he made some coin.
Well, not to mention he's only 31, which, granted, it's old in NFL, but he's still kind of young.
Yeah, he was kind of hurt the last few years a little bit, but
I think his durability was a big issue, and I think that might be one of the reasons why he decides to hang it up, because he doesn't want to be a punch drunk boxer at the end of the day. So I don't blame him. If your body can't do it anymore, don't force it, because you only get one of them. So don't screw it up.
His last name rhymes with Cooper. So
good one.
Cooper.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, he party pooped on the season this year.
Yeah.
So, ladies,
it's kind of gross. That was probably done. Why am I looking at Cam Newton now on TV? Because he's YouTube and he's an influence and he's sort of important. But I'm so sick of Cam Newton. Can we get rid of him, please?
Yeah, I mean, we can do whatever you want as long as Case Adams is there.
Yeah, she can stay.
Yeah. I agree.
Cam Newton, too much. All right, guys. Peace.
Good last thought. So thanks everybody for joining, and we went a little over 2 hours. We try to keep that under 2, but we got carried away. It's the first week of NFL, so thanks for sticking around with us, and we'll see you on Tuesday, right, Mike?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we'll see everybody on Tuesday. And
peace out.
That's you got a bunch of shit on that wall. You need to clean it.
Matt,
Yeah.
when you signing off, Chaz?
Yeah, we're gonna go end stream right now. So
Okay.
have a good one. Have a good night. Also, go
All right.
Colts. Go Plum Colts tomorrow. Shout out Colts.
Oh, good. Away or home tomorrow?
We're home.
Nice.
We're
Good
home
luck.
against North Hills.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
Beat those Indians. There you go.
Go Colts. All right.
Yeah.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah.
All right, Chaz. You ready to do some picks, Matt?
Let's roll.
Okay. Here we go.
Oh, I'm
Chaz,
still
you
here.
wanna do this?
I'm